Yes, I'm excited. It is time for Rank Punditry, my favorite part of the week here at nhjournal.com. By the way, I don't say this often enough. If you enjoy what you see and hear in the podcast, please share it with friends. More the merrier. We are so lucky to have the lovely and talented Caroline McCaughey. She writes for the New York Sun. She occasionally writes for the New Hampshire Journal because she slums. And we're glad that you're here. Hello, Caroline.
Hi, good morning.
And then due to contractual obligations I cannot evade, we have Dante Scala from UNH. Okay, so anyway, no, I'm kidding. We love you, Dante.
Good morning, Caroline.
You're our seventh favorite. If you were a cousin, you'd be a second cousin. But enough about that. Anyway, so I want to just ask the big picture, and we'll be completely sexist, Caroline. I'm going to start with Dante because he's a man. No, I'm kidding, but I do want to start with Dante because there's been a bunch of polling out from UNH Survey Center, et cetera. And I put those terrible Trump numbers in the 30s of approval next to the new polling that's come out this week from Fox, et cetera, showing that in really red places like Texas, Democrats running for federal office are winning. Put the Dante Scala thermometer in the body politic, if you will. And what's the temperature for Republicans and Democrats in New Hampshire, do you think?
I mean, for Republicans, you're looking, UNH Survey Center, my colleagues there put Trump at 37%. That's as low as they've seen since 2017. That's a very steep hill to climb if you're a New Hampshire Republican, especially one running for federal office like John Sununu. I mean, think about how many people he's got to convince who dislike Trump to cross over and vote for him. So the big question, I think, is for New Hampshire Republicans at the state level. Because we've seen for the past decade that a lot of New Hampshire voters, they dislike Trump a lot. Therefore, they vote for Democrats for federal office, but they cross over, right, and vote for Republicans for state office. That's going to have to happen an awful lot, it seems, come November.
Yeah. So, Caroline McCaughey, you're in the first congressional district. You talk to actual human beings, unlike Dante and I, who spend these time talking to pinheads. What are the human beings, particularly the ones who want to vote Republican, telling you about how they're feeling about things, about the candidates, et cetera?
I mean, in Portsmouth, I don't really meet a lot of people who are voting Republican, to be honest. I think CD1 doesn't look so good for Republicans. It's just the truth. Right. I really don't hear anything about it. I am hearing things about Morris Sullivan a little bit more than the last time I was on here. Right. Although I think under people's breath, there's sort of like this, but Shaheen's going to win, you know? Right. So, but I think there's a little bit more interest and sort of more awareness of Morris Sullivan's campaign, but I'm really not hearing about the Republican side that much. I do see the ads on TV. Mm-hmm. I, saw the Trump endorsement, but sure. I'm not hearing that much.
Yeah, and the Trump endorsement is getting a lot of play for Anthony DiLorenzo in the first congressional district. But Caroline McCaughey, if the Trump is at 37%, the question is how much good does that do, particularly when you've got a district that has communities in it like Portsmouth?
Right. Exactly. I mean, that's why Cook is rating this likely D. It's, it doesn't look good. I think it's hard to overcome Trump's numbers, especially if one of the major things you're running on is that you are endorsed by Trump.
The economy, the conversation now, Dante, is that there's hope that something would happen with Iran and gas prices would get back down and start with a 2, and then all of a sudden people start feeling better, et cetera. And I'm hearing from smart people that I respect who say we're now entering that point where even if there was a major shift, people's attitudes about the economy are going to be hard to change between now and November. Do you agree with that? Or do you think it's possible that if, like, for example, let's say there was a breakthrough and you did see gas fall and stay, $1.50 cheaper than it is now, that it could put a pep in Republican and Republican leaning independent steps?
I mean, I think that would help a bit if people were paying $2.70 for a gallon of gas come late October. Yeah, I think that would help somewhat. Of course, right, that might come with other things going on in the economy. Like we've seen a slowdown, for example, nationwide, thanks to everything that's going on. I mean, it seems like a long shot. It could help a bit. Again, we haven't seen Republican win federal office in New Hampshire during the Trump era. Would that be enough in itself? I mean, that'd be remarkable, but would it be enough? I have my doubts even there. I just think it's a deeper hole that Republicans are facing than usual, and that's saying something for the past 10 years.
So, okay, I'm done. This is too depressing. Okay, let's go on. So, Caroline, you write for the New York Sun, and you've lived off and about, whatever. How do outsiders view the first in the nation primary and New Hampshire's obsession with it?
Um, there's definitely an obsession in New Hampshire.
Yes.
You know, I sort of got this whole changing of the primary. It kind of annoyed me because one, I'm a New Hampshire partisan. I think we do this really well. Right. I think there's a sense outside, like, why do you care so much?
Right.
But the annoying thing to me is there's this whole idea that New Hampshire and I are too white, right? That started.
Right.
I heard a lot of that in 2020. Then what happened with Biden, leaving the state before primary day in 2020, consolidating the field after his big win in South Carolina. I don't think most people are paying that much attention like we are in New Hampshire.
Right.
But I wish people would be honest that this is about race, and it's also about first Biden rewarding South Carolina because they helped him win. But ultimately, the biggest talking point here was about diversity. Diversity was the key word at the DNC meeting, and this is about race. Of course, there's also geography and there are other things.
Right.
But if you wanted to choose a first state that matched the nation in terms of proportion of African Americans, Hispanics, whites, you would have chosen even Michigan to go first, or North Carolina. And they chose South Carolina. There are reasons, South Carolina's been in the early window before, but it's about race. This is about race. New Hampshire's too white. And to me, I find, I find that annoying. All that said,
no, listen,
yeah,
I agree. I share your frustration. It's just very annoying to me. And Dante Scala has heard this thing from New Hampshire Journal for years now, which is we've been begging leading Democrats, stop ignoring this attack and address it. Stop letting them call the Democratic primary voters too racially suspect to be trusted with going first, which is what obviously they're not using those words because they wouldn't say that. And I thought it was interesting, Dante, earlier in the podcast when Ambassador Terry Shoemaker was with us, he said straight up, "Oh no, it has nothing to do with race. No, not race at all. It's about powers." And I sat there politely because we want everyone to have their say, but I'm thinking in my mind, oh come on, Dante Scala, everyone knows it's a racial identity politics party. They're very open about it. Their delegates to the convention have to match certain targets on sex and sexual preference and age and whatnot. And that's how they do politics. And of course, they bring that identity politics to the First Nation primary. Isn't that just true?
I mean, Caroline started hearing that in 2020. I've been hearing about the lack of diversity in New Hampshire since I moved here, right? I was in the 2000 primary, 2004. I mean, this has been an argument that's been playing out in national Democratic circles for decades. Debbie Dingell from Michigan at the meeting last Friday kind of invoked her colleague from Michigan, Carl Levin, who was one of the first who had fought the good fight against New Hampshire from their point of view. So this has been going on for a long time. I mean, politics is about who gets what.
Right.
I mean, you look on the Republican side, they play identity politics. I mean, who are the first three states that vote? Iowa, South Carolina, lots of evangelicals, an important faction of the Republican Party.
Right.
You look at the Democratic Party, important factions, Blacks, Latinos, right? These are important votes that Democrats have to get back compared to 2024. So again, there's this who gets what, and there's only one first spot. This has been the way, it's about power, sure, and influence, but it's also, infused with race, no question about it.
Well, I would dispute you on the. I mean, you're right when you say factions, but factions and identity not the same thing. There are a lot of evangelicals of a lot of different religious hues. One of the reasons Texas turned so red was because Hispanics were evangelicals. So that's not as clear as the Democrats' bean counting view. But I don't want to get sidetracked on that because fundamentally you're right. You're doling out things based on trends in voting. I agree. It feels, it's harder to watch when it's so blatantly. When you literally had people at the DNC meeting last week saying, hey, don't you go to the Hispanics? Their brown people aren't more valuable than our brown people in South Carolina. I just cringe. What an awful way to look at the world. But
Yeah, but
that's
Democrats
where
are
they
looking
are.
at a national map, right? If I take off my New Hampshire homer hat for a minute
Right.
and I look at national Democrats, they're thinking about their future, not just in
Right.
28, but 32. The electoral college is going to change.
Yep.
And where do they need to pick up electoral college votes? Not in New Hampshire, right?
Right.
The South and the West. They don't want to lose New Hampshire's 4
Sure.
electoral votes. But if they're going to win national elections, it's got to happen out there, and it's got to happen with those voters in particular.
And also, I
go
would
ahead.
say that, you know, taking off my New Hampshire hat as well, this new primary calendar might actually benefit the Democratic Party because African Americans and Latinos tend to have more socially moderate views.
Exactly.
They're having their own issues with sort of DNC insurgent far left candidates. You saw the UNH poll with AOC at the top, and then
Right.
Buttigieg, who's more moderate. But, you know, white, college educated Democrats in New Hampshire are not choosing the kind of mainstream centrist candidates necessarily, at least in the early polling. And so this might help winnow the field and help those moderates.
No,
And Michael,
listen,
I hate to say this, Michael, but you made a good point the other day when you said that when you were talking about how New Hampshire Democrats in the primary suffered because of Bernie Sanders, right? And because Bernie Sanders won the state twice. And I can't help, and again, was race a factor here? Yes, but also there's the fact that someone with a very strained relationship with the Democratic Party won the state twice. And as you're seeing across the country now, next week in Michigan, right? The Democratic Party, I don't want to say it's being torn apart, but there's a struggle going on within it. And I'm sure that was taken into account as well.
Well, first of all, anything that I said that you agree with, I now retract. Secondly, no, I'm totally kidding. And secondly, and it is so hilarious. Once again, I ran campaigns in South Carolina, and the Democrats are absolutely right. The Black Americans that I lived with and worked with in campaigns, etc., they have no time for this DSA crazy. No, they go to church, they go to work, they have families, and they don't want to hear about what you're gonna do. What do you mean? There's no president? What do you mean you're gonna get rid? What? They have no time for all that nonsense. And so the Democrats are counting on the working class Hispanics in Vegas and the working class Black Americans in Charleston to save them from the awfuls, the affluent white female liberals of New Hampshire and New York and Colorado and these other suburban states. The question I have for you, Dante, is what kind of shape do you think the First of the Nation primary is in right now? Is it already dead man walking and that eventually it's just going to fade? Or do you think this is a passing moment, or is it going to be a every 4 years knife fight? What do you think?
I think a lot depends now on the Democratic side on what they decide to do and whether they come up with an alternative, because there's the possibility that they could be sent further back, right? I mean, they could be sent back to Super Tuesday on the calendar in this cycle, and then imagine what happens in 2032. But Michael, I think we live in a different era than when the First of the Nation law was written 50 years ago. Back then, it was sort of the Wild West as far as the nomination process went. We had just changed the whole thing. There were primaries, there were voters voting. Nowadays, you see political parties, and it's true of Republicans as well as Democrats. They want to have more control over the process, more control over the calendar. And I think it's the case that New Hampshire elites, Democrats and Republicans, have to think that through, because what happened to the Democrats could happen to New Hampshire Republicans. They won't say it.
Right.
But if Nikki Haley had beaten Donald Trump in 2024, I have my doubts we'd be voting where we are on the Republican side in 2028.
So what kind of shape do you think the First Nation primary is in, Caroline?
Again, I think I agree with Dante. I think it's hard to tell. The punishments that the DNC enacted in June for whoever violates the calendar are really tough. And is the Democratic Party going to pay for and host their own second primary? That's supposed to really count. I don't know.
Look,
I think that people in the House, I saw the Rep Sweeney say, I don't know, his proposal is going to pass a court challenge, but I think people in New Hampshire are going to fight for it, but I'm not really, I don't know what's going to happen at this point.
So for people who are watching and listening, the punishments include no access to the debate stage, which is a big deal. Forget the fines on the party, whatever. That's the thing is, we're going to stop your campaign. The Sweeney proposal is right now, if you're a Democrat and you file, you automatically get ballot access. But if you're a third party, if you're if the Caroline party started up in Portsmouth, then they would have to get signatures. They have to work for ballot access. And the law would say any party that rejects our legitimate elections loses their standing, and they would just be. So you're not stopping ballot access. I think that's why it's legally more interesting. Is you can still get on the ballot, but if it's reciprocal. You have to recognize our rules, and if you recognize our rules, we'll recognize you. So we'll see where that goes. I think it all comes down to participation. If Pete Buttigieg campaigns in New Hampshire as a candidate for president, not one of these, I'm just here to talk about Chris Pappas, whatever. If he shows up, starts campaigning, the other candidates are not going to give him New Hampshire for free, not because of delegates or blah, 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 but because the press knows how to campaign, how to cover the campaigns. They're going to show up. Our infrastructure is going to power them up. The headlines are going to come up. I guarantee you that Inside Sources, the national media company that owns the Hampshire Journal, will be covering everything that happens in New Hampshire. It's going to be in newspapers across the country. And so the other people in the Buttigieg lane are not going to let New Hampshire go. Do you agree with me, Caroline, that if the candidate, if it's not if you build it, they will come, it's if they come, you can rebuild the New Hampshire primary for Democrats?
Right, but I guess the question is, why would Buttigieg come if he's going to lose access to the debate stage, lose access to the DNC, like voter database materials, right? I think he would only do that if he was working in concert with another campaign or a couple of campaigns that also had a shot. Maybe they could coordinate to, violate the DNC's rules. And then the DNC, just like they did when Biden, won the runoff, they said, okay, we'll give you the delegates back. I don't know. I mean, we'll see what happens. I think it's kind of unclear at this point how the candidates
Dante Scala, Dante, get ready for an insane Graham theory. But first, I want to hear from you. What do you think? Will the candidates come?
I mean, Caroline makes a good point. I mean, there's got to be, it can't just be Pete Buttigieg by himself. I mean, you'll get bored by that and start covering the name again and so forth. It'll be sad.
He's such a sparkling speaker, though. He's so dynamic.
There needs to be a race here. So I think the amount of media coverage, I mean, there will be candidates. I mean, someone put it to me last week, there'll be candidates with nothing to lose.
Right, sure.
And they'll be little known and they'll say, hey, I'll go to New Hampshire anyway. What's there to lose?
Right.
And that's fine, but that's sort of like the minor league second tier candidates. The question is, can you get some of those big candidates in, like someone like AOC, right? Who could credibly say, hey, I'm bigger than the DNC. And I have a bone to pick with those people.
Right.
And therefore, I'm going to show up and challenge Pete Buttigieg in this scenario, right? You need the competition. Otherwise, the media, I think, is going to put it at a severe discount. It all depends on, as you say, depends on candidates.
Right.
Right. If so, she runs that this process is rigged or somehow, against the DNC establishment trying to, tell us who's going to win this election.
So, Caroline, this is how the identity politics you and I have been complaining about will rescue the first in the nation primary. That's how it's going to happen. Because here's the deal. First of all, you're right about the second tier candidate. I mean, I love Representative O'Connor. We've had him on the podcast. He's a smart, interesting guy. But, he's one, people don't even know even in New Hampshire polling, he's not doing that great. So you're right. It can't be Ro Khanna. It's got to be the names people are talking about, like Newsom and Buttigieg, et cetera, et cetera. Pete Buttigieg shows up. He starts campaigning. We're going to keep you off the ballot. Oh, wait. The first openly gay man who could be president of the United States, and you're going to, not keep it off the debate stage. You're going to keep me off the debate stage? Really? Here's my favorite one. Have you guys noticed that Vice President Kamala Harris has been reaching out to the DSA wing? She's been talking to Mayor Mondami, right? Dante Scala. She's been talking to these El Sayed candidates. She's trying to open the door because she's by nature a progressive, as she showed in 2020. And so she wants to get those votes. If she realizes that she could win the New Hampshire white liberal Bernie progressives and then go to South Carolina and win the black vote and win those 1-2 punch, that would end it would be done. She'd be the nominee, done. She's going to come here and campaign, and I guarantee you, of all the things going to happen on planet Earth in 2028, keeping the female black former vice president off the debate stage is not one of them. So there are a lot of things that are, countervailing forces here that keep New Hampshire in the game. But I agree with both of you. We are riding the wave of events to a degree and strategy to a degree. One last thing on this, and I think we're going to start wrap up with some big picture stuff. Dante Scala, can Pete Buttigieg find a path to the nomination that doesn't include a win in New Hampshire based on the calendar that the DNC is using?
I mean, what's on the calendar? Michigan, Virginia. I mean, but
that's down
like
the road. Man. You will already have lost.
True.
You'll have gotten 3% in South Carolina and 7% in Nevada at that point.
Yeah,
really,
it's tough. I mean, in New Hampshire, if New Hampshire was third, I mean, that would you still have to survive those first couple of weeks. But also, I do think, and this is just a theory, that the order on the calendar, I think, matters at least a little less than it used to up front. We saw that with Joe Biden back in 2020. And by that, I mean, Joe Biden did fourth in Iowa, fifth in New Hampshire. Right. I thought he was done. And then he went to Nevada, did better, went to South Carolina and won. Now, again, you can always argue the unique circumstances. It was against Bernie, et cetera. But I think it matters a little less who goes when these days, because the process starts so early and we know the candidates so much more than we used to. But Buttigieg has to find his niche, and clearly that best niche was New Hampshire and affluent white voters in particular.
We're putting Caroline on the spot because she covers New York, and that's AOC territory. Will AOC run for president in 2028? Caroline.
Oh, geez.
I know it's not fair, but life isn't fair.
Yes. I'm going to say yes.
Dante?
I wonder if it's possible. I wonder if she's got her eye on Chuck Schumer and his seat.
Exactly.
I mean, I guess that's the counter theory. I mean, I don't know. I mean, either way, I mean, she's been more of a party player lately than she used to be. So, I mean, this theory that she would come to New Hampshire and upturn everything, I don't know. But I guess that's the other alternative. I mean, she's got good options in front of her.
Some DC people I talk to keep saying Nancy Pelosi, that apparently AOC has seen Nancy Pelosi's career and how powerful she was and how it didn't matter who was in the presidency or even what party was in, control of Congress, that she was always there and a player. And AOC's, community organizing kind of background, coalition building kind of background, that's more of a fit than the executive office. Having said that, I also had someone tell me straight up, dude, if the White House is sitting there and you've got a chance to get the key, nobody puts that key down, not for any other job. So I don't know. I just know that I'm lucky that I had you guys on for Rank Punditry this week here on the New Hampshire Journal podcast. Caroline McCaughey, please keep writing for New Hampshire Journal. We love your stuff. Dante Scala, I don't know what you do, but keep doing it. And if there is a New Hampshire hat, by the way, if there is a New Hampshire hat, you guys were talking about them, Dante, get one, please. We want you to have that hat. Thanks so much. Thank you for putting up with me here on the New Hampshire Journal podcast. We really appreciate it.
Thanks, Michael.
Thanks, Michael.